Hi, I'm DougBetts. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. This video is a technician level video. The text on the thumbnail for this is in black. The text part in the upper part of the thumbnail I haven't actually created yet, but I used 3 different colors on that freehand text that's in my thumbnails. The green indicates it's user level content. The blue color indicates that it's intermediate user level content, intermediate or advanced user. And the black text indicates that it's a technician level content. Whether you're a technician, amateur, or professional, just means that you're really interested in the deeper technical issues and probably the type of person that kind of enjoys the deeper stuff. So this is just going to be a story. And maybe I use the term tech tales. I mean technician tales, and I'm just talking. I'm telling you about a recent experience that I think is worth the telling. So I had a client at a CPA's office that called several days ago, saying that her computer was shutting off each time that she was away from it for a period of time. And she said it was like about 20 minutes away from the computer. When she'd come back from lunch, it would be off. If she went over into the conference room for a period of time, went back to her desk, she'd find that it was off. When I connected remotely and checked on it, I found all the power settings were as I expected them to be, in that it was set to never go to standby, never go to hibernate, essentially never power down in any way. And the event log was showing each occasion that she was reporting that her computer was off. The event log was showing that the previous shutdown was unexpected. And that's what you would expect to find if the power got disconnected, if there was a loss of power. There was no dump file created, so this was not a blue screen of death or black screen of death. There was no dump file crash recorded. So I futzed around with a number of different things. I did some Google searches looking for people having similar experience, and I found some things they were trying or suspecting. One of the most telling or interesting ones that I came across, I suppose it would have been good to have this, be able to display this on screen, but at any rate, he reported that he had a similar condition where the computer was powering down. He might have been saying going into sleep mode, and it was on a virtual machine, and it was where his server was hosting 8 different virtual machines. And only one of the virtual machines for a particular user was having this problem. And he found the problem even occurred when he set up that user's account on a standalone computer, a real computer. And this got me thinking along the lines of a Microsoft Office account, a Microsoft account having something to do with it. At any rate, that was a wild goose chase. That did not turn out to be the source of the trouble. Early on in our conversations, in fact, I think it was the first phone call, my client told me that she had recently rearranged her office. I didn't think much of that to begin with. But it got to a point where I would connect to her computer remotely, and if I got distracted onto some other task, I come back to it and find that the computer was shut down. From my point of view, it was offline. And so I'd have to call the office or wait for somebody to go back into the office to turn the computer on again. And then one day it got to the point where I was actively working on that computer remotely, actually doing something on the keyboard, and it just instantly, I lost connection to it. And then my remote access software was reporting that it was offline. Well, the owner of the business was in the office at the time. This was on a Saturday, and I called him, asked him to turn it back on. Well, no, actually, no. At that point, I had previously asked him to turn it on for me when he got there in the morning. When it crashed on me while I was working on it, I said, "That's it. I've got to go pick up the computer." So I called him to be sure he was going to be there for a while. Remember, it was a Saturday. And I said, I need to come pick up that computer. This is not tolerable. I have to fix this now. So I went and picked it up and brought it back into my lab, sitting right here. As a matter of fact, I think I made a video with this HP all-in-one sitting over here on my desk. And it would have been turned on during that video. The computer ran perfectly for me the whole time that I had it. There wasn't anything else I could investigate it for or diagnose it for or run any tests on it. I did check some things. I checked the condition of the hard drive and looked at the event log again, finding nothing wrong. The CMOS settings was set to stay off in the event of a power failure. So I changed that. I changed that so it would automatically restart in the event of a power failure, thinking that if I wind up having to deal more with this remotely, at least it would come back on after it crashes on me. And when I encountered that, meaning found that it was running perfectly in my lab, I was questioning what could be the cause of the issue, and of course I turned to power supply. When I picked up the computer from the office, I noticed it was the power adapter. This is has one of those AC adapters, power brick. It was velcroed to the inner wall of her desk. Now, that was not a bad deal. I thought, well, maybe the wires are kind of hanging. There's weight hanging on the wires that are velcroed to the cabinet, so I contemplated that. The power brick was pretty warm, but that happens sometimes. The power brick at her office was plugged into a unusual surge protector, and I call it a surge protector by deduction because it wasn't a normal surge protector that I'm used to seeing. That surge protector power strip had a 6-foot cord to it plugged in to another device on the wall, a rectangle box that I also did not recognize. It had USB connectors. Both of these components looked new. They did not look obsolete. And this power box that was plugged into the wall was plugged into an orange outlet on the wall. It was a 4-outlet wall plate with 2 orange outlets and 2 white or manila colored outlets. And I thought that the orange outlets in that office were for some kind of a conditioned power line. Now, this building has a much larger office next door to my CPA client, and it used to be all one space. So these orange outlets, whatever they were the responsibility of the adjoining office. So there's several unknowns here with the power supply, and I'm really suspicious of that at the time. So I took the computer back to the office, and I used a different surge protector. The one that I had, it's just a common, normal, it was new, but it was a common run-of-the-mill surge protector. And I plugged it into one of the white manila outlets instead of the orange outlet. So here I've changed enough, several factors. I did not hang the power brick back up on the wall of the desk. And the computer's been running perfectly since then. So one of those elements had something to do with this trouble. Since returning the computer to the office, I received a confirmation from the adjoining business that the orange outlets indeed are he didn't say conditioned power, but rather a dedicated circuit for computers and large printers. That's kind of a yellow flag to me. Large printers can suck a lot of power when they are used. So that can cause a fluctuation of power on that whole circuit. Well, these orange outlets probably exist in 40 or 50 different locations within these two offices. The CPA office that is still in operation during the COVID-19 coronavirus days, today is April 8th, a Wednesday, and this was all this last weekend. So this was during the coronavirus time. Well, that next door office that has 30 or 40 computers and staff, they are completely shut down. This problem occurred around the time when my client rearranged her office, and which coincidentally was around the time that the neighboring office shut down. So I'm thinking the rearranging of her office and this other equipment, by the way, that power supply and the rectangle adapter on the wall that I did not recognize, not familiar with, that was provided by a staff person from the neighboring office before they shut their business down. So that's probably equipment that they were very accustomed to. So it could be one of those that are defective. It could have simply been unplugging the power brick from the HP all-in-one computer and then plugging it back in, because a simple connection of an electrical outlet or a power adapter can provide glitches, and computers are more sensitive to power glitches or variations than other electrical equipment. Well, what I was getting to when I started talking about the fact that the other office was shut down is that that dedicated circuit for all those orange outlets, it normally has a lot of devices in operation during business hours. But with the other office closed, I'm wondering if the CPA office, which is my client, what would happen if their copy machine was used, and maybe that copy machine and this computer are the only two operating on that orange outlet circuit at the time? Well, if that's the case, then that would mean that variation on the electrical circuit was a higher percentage of power surge than what that entire circuit is experiencing at the time, because the other office is closed. Now, I'm not an electrical engineer. I don't know enough about that world to say that this is a plausible explanation, but it's just an idea that came to me because there's nothing in this scenario that really looks suspicious. Now, that box that was on the wall, I have a suspicion that it's some kind of a power conditioning device. It actually has a fan in it. I could hear the fan running. So there's some kind of electrical components inside that box. Now, I've never come across a surge protector that has a fan in it. UPS battery supply, sure. But this was just a box that plugged into one outlet on the wall. It was large enough that it covered all 4 outlets, but it was only actually electrically connected to one of those orange outlets. Had some kind of fan running. It had, I want to say, 4 outlets for electrical devices, and it had a couple of USB outlets. And this fan running. Well, now you have that power conditioning device and a surge protector on this connected to this wall outlet. So I'm thinking that seems a little unusual to have 2 power conditioning devices on a circuit that supposedly is dedicated for computers and copy machines, and I'm suspecting is some level of power conditioning or stabilizing, whatever they do with that stuff. So I wanted to share this because it's a rather unusual, bizarre story, and it's something that happens as a computer consultant or a computer technician. You come across things that are just unusual, and it can be kind of entertaining and informative to other technicians. I know I enjoy hearing stories like this. So that's what I thought I'd bring to you today. I hope this was useful to you, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.